Have AZRacing finally come up with a hybrid cockpit that can do F1 racing and GT racing all at a decent price point? I think they have. In this video, we're going to take a look at AZRacing's new CS Pro cockpit. It's an F1 and GT cockpit all in one. Now, my experience with AZRacing actually goes back quite far. I live in China, so I have access to these brands pretty easily. It's a bit different than those who are in Europe or America, where we have these other companies out here that produce their own product. One that maybe you don't know, but I know pretty well, is AZRacing. So these guys have some proper racing background and they do full frame simulators. In the past, they've done a few popular models. I'm actually using one of their older models called the SV. The SV is great, I really like it. It's one piece, it looks great, it's super solid. But they did have a problem, which is shipping globally. It's just too expensive. So these guys have gone back to the drawing board and they're back, and now they've released the CS Pro. Now the CS Pro, what you're going to notice straight away is it's got a completely different design. So they've gone with a solid base at the bottom and then a single frame that attaches on the top to mount your motor and your wheel. As base, if you order through the AZRacing website, you'll have an option to choose from what kind of seat you want, but the base itself is standalone. And what that means is that if you order just the base and you order your seat, for a cockpit, that's all you need. You should be able to buy your pedals, your wheelbase and your wheels, set it up, and you can go racing. But there's a couple of other really nice little details that they've added, which I'll talk about later in this video. Once you get the product, it comes in two big boxes. You'll have the base itself, and then you'll have your seat. Setup is actually pretty easy. They use these really simple uniform screws that give you Allen keys, and they've got some pictures as well to show you exactly how to get it set up. All in all, it took me about 45 minutes. It wasn't that difficult. Once you've got the base in place and you're happy with it, you'll just want to make sure the pedal plate is in the right place for your seating position and that you line up the seat with the correct seating position. What do I mean by that? Is that if you're in an F1 mode or you're in a GT mode, the seating is actually in a different place. You'll just need to make sure that when you're mounting the seat, you line up the screws in the right place, screw them in, and you should be good to go. Once you've got that in place, you'll really want to make sure you adjust it carefully. So for me, I'm 188 centimeters. Now that is kind of reaching the limit of the F1 cockpit's capabilities, and I'd probably recommend, if you're about my height, go for the GT model. You'll be happier and you'll be comfortable. But I can say that I've used it, tried it in iRacing, and it actually worked pretty well. So with build quality, let's talk about this one. Obviously, they've worked hard to try and get the price down, stay competitive, and be able to ship this globally. It is still heavy, but I can say that it's solid. It holds your gear really well. I'm using Magic gear, that's what I rep all the time, and that's direct drive. So this is, high-end wheels that produce a lot of torque. It was easy to get it screwed into place. Once it's on, it's solid, it's not going anywhere. It's the same story with the pedals. So they actually gave me the extended pedal plate so that you can extend out the pedals even further if you need to. I did that, and once it's all tightened in place, I didn't have any issues with flex or anything uncomfortable in the rig. It felt solid, secure. I could use it for hours. I wouldn't have an issue. There's another nice point about this as well, is because it's one piece, it's not, super confusing. It's very easy to move around as well. Me as one person, I can pick it up and I can move it pretty confidently. So that is kind of a nice point. A lot of the, big 80-20 rigs, these things are beasts. And, once it's in place, it's not going anywhere. But what I like about AZRacing rigs is they have that nice aesthetic. They look good. But at the same time, it's not a really impossible thing to move. It's quite easy to clean. It's easy to kind of move it around. And it looks, it looks good, is what I'm trying to say. And it's easy to maintain. Flex. Flex is always a really big issue, especially when you're looking at these kind of rigs that aren't like an 80/20. But I'm happy to report with this one, super solid. Just make sure you use the Allen keys, you've tightened the screws as tight as they can go, and you should find it'll work really well. You won't have any issues with, hard on the brakes or hard on the throttle. Is the pedal plate shaking? Or, am I moving the wheel too much? And is the pedal plate or is the wheel plate going to move? No, I found that it's solid, it fits really well. So here, no worries at all. So overall, how does it feel? This was actually my first use of an F1 style rig. I've come from, a GT iRacing style rig for a couple of years now, and so it is a different sensation. I do get it. If you're someone who basically religiously follows F1 or you do, iRacing open wheel, I could totally understand why this is something that you'd be interested in. Having an F1 seat is a really unique feeling because you have your lower body lifted up and your legs higher. And, as you line that up with iRacing especially, it feels really immersive. So you really feel like, okay, I'm hopping into a cockpit. Even getting up and out of this F1 cockpit does feel really special. So I can kind of understand why this is so popular. It's timed well as well. Let's get this video out with F1 2024. And I can, totally say with confidence that, if you're looking for an F1 rig, especially if you're on a budget, this is a solid option. I, for one, do a lot of iRacing. So, as soon as I got this set up, I jumped in, track day with the super formulas, and I just felt right at home. Once you've got it edited and your FOV is all correct, it feels really nice. So, having your whole body lifted up higher is an interesting sensation, and it feels great. I actually recorded some POV footage on my Insta360 Ace Pro. I'll put it in the video here. I think it looks great. You really do get this nice shot, of your body actually up higher, your hands on the wheel, and everything going on in front of you. So yeah. And what I really like about that as well is, maybe say 6 months down the line, maybe you're done with open wheel racing. Maybe you want to go ahead and switch to prototypes or GT. Then it's no worries. You can just take the seat out, remount a new seat in the GT position, same with the pedals, and you're good to go. And I think this kind of hybrid cockpit thing is underrated. A lot of people want that immersive experience of a Formula car, but also want the freedom to swap out to maybe rally or GT. And so I think this might answer that problem that a lot of people have. So I'll expand on this a little more. I, for one, I do primarily iRacing, but recently iRacing even split their Formula open wheel license and the road racing GT license into two different categories. And I really think this demand is growing, especially with, the huge rise of Formula One globally. So it kind of makes sense that, companies are now following this trend as well and are going, okay, we need to make a cockpit that can cater to both and give you the best, most immersive experience in either way. So that's exactly what AZRacing's done. It's just by having this single frame, easy to produce, but with two different screw points for whatever kind of category racing you're doing. It's really smart and it works well. So now I'm going to go ahead and walk through some of the extras that you can grab with the CS Pro. I don't think I've seen any one-piece rig like this have so many options. I was just getting it set up F1 iRacing, so all I needed was obviously the F1 seat that just comes and is fitted, and the adjustable pedal plate because I'm quite tall. So if you're tall like me, you definitely need the adjustable pedal plate to slide the pedals back. Otherwise, you're going to have a really bad time. So with the seat slider in place, with the pedal slider in place, I was good. I didn't need to set anything else up. But there are some really nice extras here that I'm going to walk you through now. Okay, so let's go through some of these accessories. First one that I'm really impressed by is this thing. So this, there we go, lovely stuff. This can be adapted to hold whatever accessories you want. So I'm assuming this is, more for if you're doing rally or, maybe some old school GT. So you'll be able to mount either a handbrake or a shifter onto this mount here. And so it just slides in on the side of the rig. Nice. This thing slides and tucks into the side of the frame, and it's a really smart, easy way to get accessories mounted really quickly. So top marks here. Of course, some people don't want to get out of their sim, so there comes with a really nice option for a keyboard and mouse extension, which can just be mounted and sit to the side of you, which again is just a nice little extra. Now these last two I was pretty impressed with. Now I didn't need them in my case because, as you can see by my setup here, I have triple TVs, so I just moved one of my TVs over and I was basically good to go for this little test. But if you need something which is truly all-in-one, they have thought of everything here. This is a monitor mount, and it actually sits and mounts straight to the top of the little red curve which I showed you just before. So basically you can have your monitor as close as you need it and attached directly to the rig. I think this is a really nice feature. It's also completely adjustable, so you can lower it down if you need to, or up higher if you're doing GT, lower if you're doing Formula, of course. So again, I was really impressed that they've thought of this. They did not have this before. They just had some TV stands, which I'm still using now. The last piece I'll highlight, and again, this really did impress me. Let me just grab it. I truly think he's thought of everything. This is a mount that sits on the end of your rig and can hold a computer or your PS4 or console, if that's your thing. But yeah, it basically just sits, holds it in place, and then truly you have an all-in-one setup. So again, top marks for creativity here and really thinking about, okay, what do people need to kind of get their rig online and running? Here we have, so many different extensions, and I think for the price it's pretty reasonable as well. So you really can have a rig that does everything at a really cost-effective price point. So closing thoughts on this AZRacing CS Pro rig. I think for the price point, if you're looking for something which can offer you an F1 style sim experience, with having the option to swap back to GT if you're doing iRacing or rally or anything like that, I don't know where you could get value like this anywhere else. I genuinely think they've done a really nice job here, creating something which is basically an all-in-one solution, but is still pretty easy to adjust. I think it looks great. It's not this big scary rig. It kind of fits and looks like a nice piece that could sit in your lounge or your garage or wherever you sim. So really well done to the AZRacing guys. I think they've put a lot of thought into this. They're trying very hard to make something that's cost effective and can still be shipped globally. So one thing I will mention as well, and this is underrated, famously I'm not great at this, and in some of my footage you'll see I'm running a cable across to my other PC, so it's not super elegant, but if you want it to be elegant, there is cable management. So by having these holes in the frame that actually don't affect the flexibility, you're able to run the cables really smoothly down and through the frame. So it can look really sleek if you put time into it, you manage your cables really carefully. You can have this super sleek design. Like I said, I think overall they've done an excellent job here. If you hadn't heard of AZRacing before, do check them out. I think these guys are doing, out of Asia especially, a place not super known for especially its sim racing products right now, outside of obviously big names like SimMagic and things like that. And specifically Cockpits. I think these guys are making some really interesting stuff. So yeah, go check them out. Do give them a follow. Big thanks to Alan over there for sending me the stuff to try out. I will get it back to you soon. And yeah, other than that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little overview. Take care, and maybe I'll see you again soon.